Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt someone's presence in your life, even when they weren't speaking directly to you? Not calling, not confessing, not saying the words out loud, yet somehow you knew? Because connection doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers. You see, when a woman is thinking about you, it rarely looks like obsession. It looks like intention. It looks subtle. It looks controlled. It looks quiet, but powerful. And here's what many people misunderstand about female psychology. When a woman's mind is engaged, her emotions don't rush. They observe, they measure, they test safety, consistency, and depth before expression ever arrives. So if you're waiting for dramatic gestures, loud confessions, or constant messages, you might miss the truth entirely, because when a woman is truly thinking about you, she doesn't chase your attention. She creates space for connection. She listens differently. She remembers small details you forgot you shared. She shows up emotionally before she ever shows up physically. And here's the deeper truth. A woman's mind is not easily occupied. If you're there, it's because something about you made her feel seen, safe, or stimulated on a level that went beyond the surface. She might pull back instead of leaning in, not because she's losing interest, but because she's checking her own vulnerability. She might tease instead of confess, not because she's playing games, but because emotional honesty feels risky when it's real. And when she asks questions that seem casual but feel personal, that's not curiosity, that's emotional investment. So don't confuse silence with absence. Don't confuse independence with indifference. And don't assume that because she isn't saying everything, she isn't thinking deeply. Because when a woman's mind is involved, her heart is already having a conversation she hasn't invited you into yet. And the real question is she thinking about you? The real question is, what kind of presence are you creating in her mind when you're not there? When a woman is truly thinking about you, the first signal does not arrive through words, messages, or dramatic gestures. It arrives through emotional attention. This is the quiet, powerful phase where her mind begins to register you not just as a person, but as a presence that matters. Female psychology works deeply at the emotional level before it ever moves to action. And emotional attention is the foundation of that process. Emotional attention means she becomes aware of you in a way that goes beyond surface interaction. She notices how you speak, not just what you say. She feels shifts in your energy, even when you try to hide them. She picks up on pauses, changes in tone, moments of silence, and unspoken emotions. This is not accidental. It is the mind saying, this person matters enough to observe closely. Unlike impulsive attraction, emotional attention is selective. A woman does not give it to everyone. Her mind filters constantly, protecting her emotional world. So when you find that she remembers small details you shared casually or brings up something you mentioned weeks ago, that is not coincidence. That is focus. And focus is the earliest form of attachment. Another important part of emotional attention is presence without pressure. She may not text you constantly. She may not demand your time, but when you speak, she is fully there. She listens with intention. She responds thoughtfully. She asks questions that feel simple on the surface, but carry emotional weight underneath. Questions about your past, your values, your reactions to life. These are not just conversations. They are emotional assessments. Many people misread this phase because it does not look dramatic. It does not look needy. It looks calm, composed, even distant at times. But internally, her mind is active. She is observing how you handle stress, how you treat others, how consistent you are with your words and actions. Emotional attention is how she decides whether someone is emotionally safe enough to move closer to. She may also become more aware of how she feels around you. Does she feel relaxed, understood, energized, or emotionally seen? Female psychology is deeply tied to emotional safety. If your presence creates a sense of calm rather than chaos, her emotional attention deepens. And once that happens, you are no longer just someone she talks to. You become someone her mind returns to, even when you are not there. Another subtle sign is emotional mirroring. She may match your tone, reflect your energy, or respond emotionally rather than logically. This happens when emotional attention has crossed into emotional connection. Her mind is not just analyzing you anymore. It is sensing with you. What is crucial to understand is this emotional attention always comes before emotional expression. Before feelings are spoken, before intentions are revealed, before vulnerability is shared, the mind must first feel certain. So if she seems attentive, thoughtful, observant, and emotionally aware around you, even without clear confession, that is not nothing. That is the beginning of something meaningful. Do not rush this stage. Do not try to force clarity too early. Emotional attention grows when it feels respected, not pressured. When a woman feels free to observe without fear, her mind opens naturally. And once her mind is engaged, her heart is already listening. This is why emotional attention is the strongest early indicator, because attraction may fade, interest may fluctuate, but focused emotional awareness is intentional. And intention is where real connection begins. One of the most misunderstood aspects of female psychology is distance. Many people assume that when a woman pulls back, becomes quieter, or creates space, it automatically means loss of interest. But often the opposite is true. Distance can be a sign of depth, not detachment. When emotions begin to matter, the mind does not always rush forward. Sometimes it steps back to gain clarity. When a woman starts to feel something real, her first instinct is not always expression. It is reflection. She becomes more aware of what is happening inside her, and that awareness can feel overwhelming. So she slows down. She observes from a distance. This is not avoidance. This is emotional intelligence at work. Distance is how she protects herself while sorting through feelings that are growing stronger than expected. Female psychology values emotional safety deeply. If she senses vulnerability rising, she may instinctively create space to understand whether those feelings are safe to hold, safe to share, and safe to act upon. Pulling back gives her room to ask important internal questions. Do I trust this connection? Do I feel emotionally secure? Is this consistent? Is this real? You may notice changes during this phase. She might respond less quickly. She may initiate fewer conversations. She may appear calm, controlled, even slightly distant. But what matters is not the quantity of interaction. It is the quality when interaction does happen. When she does engage, she is still present, still attentive, still emotionally aware. That tells you the connection is not fading. It is deepening quietly. This distance also allows her to observe how you respond to space. Does your energy remain respectful, steady, and emotionally grounded? Or does it become anxious, demanding, or reactive? Your reaction to her distance gives her critical information. Female psychology often tests emotional maturity not through confrontation, but through silence and space. Another important truth is that distance helps her regulate emotions. When feelings intensify too quickly, they can feel unsafe. Stepping back allows her nervous system to settle, allowing logic and emotion to come into balance. This is especially true for women who value emotional depth and long-term stability. They do not rush emotional decisions, they reflect on them. Distance can also mean she is imagining future implications. She may be thinking beyond the present moment, asking herself how this connection would affect her life, her peace, her growth. These thoughts require quiet. They require space. And during that time, you remain in her mind more than you realize. What many people get wrong is trying to fill that distance with pressure, constant messages, demands for clarity, emotional pushing. That often does the opposite of what is intended. It disrupts the reflective process and can make her retreat further. Emotional depth needs patience, not pursuit. If she pulls back but still looks in, still shows warmth, still remembers details, still engages with intention, that is not absence. That is contemplation. Her mind is working, weighing emotional truth against emotional risk. The key is understanding this. Distance is not the end of connection. Sometimes it is the threshold. It is the pause before deeper attachment. It is the space where feelings move from curiosity to certainty. When you respect that space, when you remain emotionally consistent without pressure, you become a safe presence in her mind. And safety is what allows emotional depth to turn in emotional commitment. So do not fear distance. Rate it carefully, because in female psychology, pulling back is often not about moving away from you. It is about moving closer to understanding what you truly mean to her. In female psychology, emotional connection is not built blindly. It is built carefully, intentionally, and with awareness. Before a woman allows herself to open emotionally, she needs to feel safe, understood, and respected. One of the ways she determines this is through subtle testing. These tests are rarely obvious. They are quiet, indirect, and often misunderstood, but they are not games. They are emotional checkpoints. Subtle testing begins when a woman senses potential emotional depth. At this stage, her feelings are forming, but she is not yet ready to fully reveal them. Instead, she observes how you respond to small moments. She may tease lightly, challenge your perspective, or say something slightly unexpected. The purpose is not to provoke conflict, but to see how emotionally grounded you are. For example, playful teasing is often a test of emotional security. Does your confidence remain steady, or does it crack under light pressure? Does your response carry warmth and self-assurance, or defensiveness and ego? Female psychology is highly sensitive to emotional reactions. Your ability to stay calm, respectful, and authentic tells her more than any grand declaration ever could. Another form of subtle testing is inconsistency in availability. She may delay responses or change her level of engagement temporarily. This allows her to observe whether your behavior remains consistent or becomes reactive. Emotional maturity shows itself in steadiness, not urgency. If you respect her rhythm without withdrawing emotionally or pushing for control, you pass an important test without ever knowing it existed. She may also ask indirect questions about values, boundaries, or emotional experiences. These questions might sound casual, but they are carefully chosen. She is listening not just to your answers, but to how you answer. Your honesty, empathy, and self-awareness matter more than saying the right thing. Female psychology values emotional truth over performance. Subtle testing also reveals how you handle her vulnerability. She may share something small but personal, a fear, a frustration, a past disappointment. This is not accidental. She is offering a controlled amount of vulnerability to see if it is met with respect, understanding, and emotional presence. If you dismiss it, minimize it, or rush to fix it, she notes that. If you listen and hold space, she feels safer. It is important to understand that these tests are not meant to exclude you. They are meant to protect her. Emotional openness carries risk. Once she opens her heart, she opens her inner world. Subtle testing is how she ensures that world will be treated with care. Many people fail these moments by trying too hard, over-explaining, over-impressing, or over-pursuing. Female psychology is attuned to authenticity. The more natural and grounded you are, the safer she feels. Safety is built in small moments, not dramatic gestures. Another overlooked test is how you handle her independence. Does your interest remain respectful when she prioritizes her life, her goals, her space? Or do you interpret independence as rejection? A woman who values emotional depth needs a partner who can stand confidently beside her, not cling to her for validation. Subtle testing continues until trust replaces uncertainty. When she feels emotionally secure, the tests fade. Communication becomes clearer, vulnerability becomes deeper, emotional expression becomes more direct. So if you notice mixed signals, gentle challenges, or moments that feel like emotional puzzles, do not rush to label them as confusion or manipulation. They are often signs of emotional care. She is measuring not to control you, but to protect herself. In female psychology, love does not begin with blind trust. It begins with observation. And subtle testing is the bridge between interest and emotional commitment. One of the clearest and most underestimated signs that a woman is thinking about you is memory. Not dramatic gestures, not constant communication, but memory. In female psychology, memory is directly connected to emotional relevance. What she remembers reveals what her mind has chosen to keep close. When a woman recalls small details about you, things you mentioned casually, stories you shared without emphasis, emotions you expressed briefly, it means your presence has moved beyond surface awareness. The mind does not store unimportant information deeply. It stores what carries meaning. So when she remembers, it is because you mattered in the moment you shared it, and you continue to matter afterward. This kind of memory often appears quietly. She might reference a preference you once mentioned, ask about something you said weeks ago, or bring up a moment you assumed was forgotten. These are not accidents. They are signs that your words stayed with her. Female psychology processes emotional information holistically. She remembers not just facts, but how she felt when you shared them. Memory also reflects emotional curiosity. When a woman is thinking about you, her mind connects patterns. She links your experiences, your reactions, your values. She notices consistency or contradiction. This mental connection building is a form of emotional investment. She is not just recalling information, she is understanding who you are. Another powerful aspect of memory is emotional recall. She may remember how you made her feel in specific moments, safe, understood, inspired, or calm. These emotional memories often matter more than anything said. When she feels emotionally regulated around you, her mind naturally returns to that state. You become associated with emotional comfort or stimulation, and that association strengthens attachment. Memory can also show up in anticipation. She might predict how you would react to something, finish your thoughts, or reference your perspective in conversations with others. This means you are present in her inner dialogue. You are not just someone she interacts with, you are someone she considers. Female psychology also uses memory as a trust building tool. When she remembers and respects your boundaries, your preferences, your emotional triggers, it shows care. Care is not always loud. Often it is precise. Remembering what matters to you is one of the most intimate forms of attention. It is important to understand that memory does not require constant interaction. In fact, some of the strongest emotional memories form during moments of depth rather than frequency. A single meaningful conversation can leave a lasting imprint. When that happens, time and distance do not erase relevance. Many people overlook memory because it feels passive, but it is one of the most active processes of the mind. What she chooses to remember is what she chooses to emotionally prioritize. And when you are prioritized mentally, you are closer to her heart than you may realize. Memory also guides future behavior. If she remembers positive emotional experiences with you, she becomes more open, more relaxed, more willing to engage. If she remembers feeling dismissed or unsafe, she pulls back. This is why consistency matters. Every interaction contributes to the emotional memory she carries forward. So when a woman remembers you, not just your words, but your energy, your presence, your emotional tone, understand what that means. You have crossed from momentary attention into emotional significance. In female psychology, memory is not nostalgia. It is selection, and being selected by her memory means you occupy space in her inner world, a space that is reserved only for what truly matters. Female psychology does not move in straight lines. It moves in layers, quietly, intentionally, and with emotional intelligence. What you've learned through these keynotes is this simple truth. When a woman is thinking about you, it rarely looks obvious at first. It looks thoughtful. It looks measured. It looks subtle. Emotional attention shows you where her focus is. Distance shows you how deeply she is processing what she feels. Subtle testing shows you how seriously she takes emotional safety. And memory reveals where you live in her inner world. None of these signs are loud, yet together they tell a powerful story. The mistake many people make is looking for instant clarity, but real emotional connection does not announce itself immediately. It unfolds, it observes, it asks quiet questions before giving honest answers. When a woman's mind is engaged, she is not playing games. She is protecting depth. If you are present in her thoughts, it is because something about you resonated beyond the surface. Your consistency, your emotional tone, your ability to create safety, these are what linger when conversations end and silence begins. So instead of asking, why isn't she saying more, ask something deeper. What kind of emotional experience am I creating? Because what truly stays with her is not what you demand, but how you make her feel when nothing is being asked. When her mind is involved, her heart is already paying attention. And when both align, connection stops being a question and slowly becomes a choice.